Everybody. I am so excited to be here today. I'm always excited to do a live, and if you have checked out some of my lives, you'll probably know that. However, today is an extra special live. I know that a lot of you are joining here from SCT's channel, and I'm so excited that I'm here for the Scrapbook and Cards Today Partner Celebration. Yay! This is so much fun, and we are so honored to be included in this year's partner celebration because it is just a lot of fun. There are a lot of fantastic companies involved. So please make sure that you're following SCT on all their social media and, of course, here on YouTube so that you can see all of the amazing companies that are being celebrated for the partner celebration. And like I said, today we are rocking it out with Altenew. So I am one of the co-founders of Altenew. My name is Jen Rzasa. And I'll give you a brief history of the company just in case you're hearing about us for the first time. And by the way, we are also streaming on the Altenew channels. So if you're joining us over there, I'm sure you already know the Altenew story. But for any newbies that might be joining in and maybe you don't know about Altenew or you've heard of Altenew and you're not sure what the company is all about, I would love to give you a little brief history of that. So like I said, I'm one of the co-founders. So the other co-founder is Tasneem, and she and I were good friends. And I'm going to say like something that's so funny, like from back then, but like a lot of you will probably get it now, but we were like virtual friends. We weren't actually in-person friends. I didn't know her from like work or social situations. She was somebody that I met online through crafting. And at the time, that was kind of strange to me to be involved in this whole world of the online crafting community. And it was so nice to be able to meet people whose work I respected and find out also that they respected what I did with card making. So she and I were card makers. We were kind of in similar circles. We had seen each other around with different blog posts and challenges. And she and I actually ended up doing a challenge blog together that I ran, and I ended up adding her to my design team because I loved her stuff so much. She's still amazing. So please see everything that Tasneem does. She has a really unique, elegant, refined style. So we did the runway inspired challenge. That goes way back. If you're somebody who knew the runway inspired challenge, please pop something in the comments because I would love to know that you've been on this journey with us since then. And it was taking inspiration from runway fashion. So fashion shows, there are different fashion shows for every season and big runways in New York, Milan, Paris. And I would take inspiration from those fashion shows and I would put up an image of a dress or an outfit from one of the fashion shows, and we would create projects inspired by it. So that was the runway inspired challenge. Now, as I'm looking to see, no one said anything yet that they remember it. And maybe I'm just going back way too far. But I do see a lot of people are joining in and telling us where they're from. I am in Massachusetts, very close to Boston. So I am so hot right now because it is very, very hot. We've been experiencing a heat wave with like 90 plus degree temps. If you're in a part of the country or part of the world that's constantly hot, that you're probably like, big deal, 90s. But for us, it is a big deal. So it's really hot. And I have my my crafting area like in the loft of our apartment. So the heat just rises. So if I start sweating by the end of this, that's why. So anyway, we did the Runway Inspired Challenge together. And from that, we ended up just becoming good friends, again, online friends. And one thing that we discovered as crafters is that there were some products that we wanted, but we didn't have. Like, wouldn't it be great if there were some like card or stamps that had layering, but with ornate flowers? Or would it be great if we had some like edgy looking, like not as traditional, but kind of modern look? So we both had similar aspirations of what we wanted to see in the crafting space. And we ended up just saying, well, if it's not there, why don't we design it? We both loved art. We both loved drawing and sketching. Oh, Tracy says you need a ceiling fan with the reversible option. Yeah, we actually have a ceiling fan up here, but it's currently not on because it makes some noise. I don't want it to add to any sound that we might have on the live. So we just did that pretty much for ourselves. We're like, you know what? If all we get out of it is we get some products to use that we really love, and maybe some of our friends get stuff that they want to use, that's great too. And this all happened in 2014. So we are celebrating our 11th anniversary year. We started in April. So that's really exciting that we have come into our double digits, right? We reached the double digits last year, but now we're like in the double digits with our 11th anniversary. And I'm hoping we continue to go through and celebrate more milestones to come. So we put our stuff out there. We designed products that we were proud of, but more importantly, we were excited to use because we figured, again, if that's all that happens from this is we get products that we're excited to use, that's great. Maybe we could recoup some of the manufacturing costs if some people happen to buy them. And it blew up. I still remember those early days when, Tasneem and I were messaging each other. It's like, someone else placed an order. This set sold out. Oh my gosh, this set sold out too. And ever since then, it has just been a total roller coaster of challenges, but mostly joy and, just feeling so welcomed by the crafters in the community and really feeling that we had a special place in this industry. And we've made a lot of friends along the way, not just customers and crafters, but also fellow companies. We really do have a supportive industry where we love to see each other thrive and grow. And that's another reason why the Scrapbook and Cards Today partner celebration is so much fun, because they're not just celebrating the partners, but we're celebrating them and we're celebrating one another. So it's really a fantastic thing. All right. It seems like nobody knows about the Runway Challenge. Go look it up. I'm sure it's still hosted somewhere. I think it was on Blogspot. I don't know, unless they pulled it down. It's quite old, but I do have a class on Altenew Academy that is Runway inspired. So that is still active. You could still get that class. So if you want to have a little taste of what the challenge was about, then you can go check that out. So we've got a lot to do today. If you've joined my lives before, I get really chatty and I have some trouble with, multitasking the crafting and chatting. And sometimes I don't finish my projects. And that's okay for those lives. But for my live today, I really should finish my project. So I'm going to explain some of the things that I'm sharing today. I'm going to be checking into the comments to make sure that you guys have, if you have any questions, they're getting answered. We've also got the Altenew badge and we'll be answering questions behind the scenes as well. But hello to everybody who's here. And I'm just loving seeing all of the engagement in the chat. Please continue to engage in the chat with one another and with us. And I will also be checking out all the comments after we're live, especially if there's something maybe that was missed and wasn't addressed. That way I can just pop in and give you guys the answer to whatever it is, your question. All right, so I think that's a good history of Altenew. Also, let me know in the comments if you're brand new to Altenew. If My Chaos is your first introduction to the company. Sorry, we're not always this chaotic, just me. But I would love to see if we have new people here, and I'm really hoping you see something you like. We have a really fun approach to design, and Altenew actually means old and new, because alt means old in German and new means new in English. So Altenew is a way to bridge the older aesthetics, things that are traditional, things that you might see from different cultures or different parts of the world, and then bringing those traditional classic design elements to life in a new and fresh way. So that's what we're all about here at Altenew. And we've got a lot of products. Oh my goodness. Definitely check that out too if you're interested, because we've got art supplies, we've got stamps, dies, stencils, you name it, we've got it. And I feel like we have no time to like go over everything, but I will be sharing a little bit about the products I'll be using today. So let me pop down so we can get right into that. And again, I will be continuing to peek at the comments. I'm hoping I don't miss anything. Tiffany loves the energy. Thanks, Tiffany. We'll see if you still feel the same way at the end when I'm exhausted and sweating. We need to get the air conditioning up here. Gosh. All right, so let me pop you down. Just give me a second to do that. All righty. Okay, so let me just show you what we're going to be using today, but I do have some other products we're going to be incorporating as well. Oh, we are crooked. There we go. By the way, this is our cutting and alignment mat. I really love this as a workspace. You could see I kind of need to clean mine, but we do have thick lines for A2 cards. And also, I know it's a little off screen here, but 12 by 12 if you work with scrapbooks. And here we go. I'll show you a little bit more of that. And this guide is just the best for, you know, making sure that things are aligned properly on your projects, especially if you do card making or scrapbooking in an A2 or 12 by 12 size. All right, so this is one of our newest subscription products. This is the Mini Delight Enjoy the Flight. And if you're a crafter and you look at this, you're like, wait, that's so small. What can we do with this? Well, I want to show you that you can take something small and turn it into something extraordinary. But I am going to be using some other products because there's a thing that we do with a lot of our dies called the keyhole system. I'll be explaining it more in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to feature that. And our small mini delights, they don't always include the keyhole system just because they are smaller in size. So it's always a small die set with a 3x4 inch stamp set. But again, you could do so much with these. And then this is an older set. This is an older Craft-A-Flower. It's the Hellebore layering die set, and it features the keyhole system. In addition to these, oh, and I did mention, I think this is a subscription. So you can buy it on its own, but you can also subscribe to the Mini Delight or other subscriptions. And that's another way to get these products at a discounted price. And it's every month a new one releases. Tracy, yeah, great things come in small packages. Okay, let's move on to what I'm going to be using for my stamping. So this is our stamp wheel. Many of you have maybe seen this before. If you're new to it, this is Altenew's stamping platform, and we have this really unique approach to using a stamp positioner, a stamp platform, because you have the stamp wheel. And you see we have these little bumps around the edge, kind of like cogs of a gear. And you can rotate this to create so many different designs. If you like creating wreaths, this just makes it so easy to create a wreath. Or if you want to do symmetrical designs and stamp something in one corner and something else in another corner, you can use that and rotate. But you can also use it just as a regular stamp positioner, which is what I'm going to be using today. Now, we do have a larger stamp wheel. This is the Stamp Wheel 2.0. And you can see it is much larger. I'm sorry I'm so zoomed in right now, but I don't want to zoom out because once I get crafting, you're going to want to be close to see what I'm doing. But it is larger and accommodates larger paper. So we also have that, but I'm going to be using the smaller one today just because it's easier to do when we're live for you guys to see everything that I've got going on here. Also, we have some cardstock. I have some grays, green, puffy heart, such a nice color. We'll be doing some die cutting here. I have some silver. This is our brushed silver metallic cardstock. This is spectacular. I'll be using it on that little airplane. And we've got some other goodies. I've got some inks, some blending brushes. We're going to be doing it all today. And I'm really excited to have you guys along for the journey. I'm seeing in the comments, SCT's asking who else loves their stamp wheel. I would love, love, love to see some comments on the stamp wheel because we really put a lot of work behind the scenes on creating this product. And just like I told you before, Tasneem and I are both crafters, and a lot of our team is made up of crafters. So these products are tested by essentially the end user, the end customer. So that's something that you can guarantee that you're going to be getting a product that's endorsed by crafters when you buy it at Altenew. And we do test everything that we release. And there was a lot of development that went into this product before we released it. It was years. It was in development for years before it came out because we really wanted to make sure that it was the best quality and functioned exactly the way that it was envisioned. So that is all about the stamp wheel. But again, any products you get from us are definitely tested by people on our team who are all crafters. All right, so let's do the stamping first, and then we'll do some die cutting. Now, I just have a piece of A2 cardstock. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. As I'm doing this, I am also trying to read your comments. This is why I was saying I've got to work on my multitasking, because as I read, I get a lot quieter. So Tracy loves the stamp wheel. Debbie loves the stamp wheel. Brick by Burke. Ooh, I almost read that wrong. Brick by Burke says the brushed silver embosses really well. Oh my gosh, it does. All of our metallic cardstocks really look spectacular if you put them in an embossing folder. Okay, so I'm not worried about centering this because I'm just going to do some stamping on it. I don't need to have the rotation, but if you do want to use the rotation feature, we have stencils that are alignment guides for both sizes of stamp wheel, and that helps you make sure your cardstock is placed exactly in the center. Also, who is making any Altenew cards or other things while watching? Jen, I hope others are too. That was one of our comments. And yes, I agree. I would love to know who else is crafting along with me. Maybe you also have this set already, this Enjoy the Flight set. Okay, so this is a brand new set. As I told you, it has just been released. This is part of our August release. And one of the things I like to do when I have a new stamp, especially if it is a solid image stamp. So you could see all that black area is the stampable area. And in the manufacturing process, there is a slight sheen, a slick surface that ends up on all of our stamps. And it's just part of how the photopolymer gets manufactured. And if you want to have the best possible stamping result, you're going to want to condition it. So this is one of our stamp conditioning erasers, and we sell a couple different sizes and different ones, and you just want to brush away. This is very low dust, so you really don't have much to brush away. But if any of the little dust particles get on your stamp, you want to brush that away so that they don't get inked up and mess up your inking. But what this does is it removes that shine. And then when you go ahead and stamp it with your ink, especially if you're using a dye ink, which I'll be using, it's a water-based ink. If you're using a dye ink, you don't want it to bead up on the surface. So I want you to think if you had like a slick piece of plastic or a slick piece of metal and you poured some water on it, you would see those little water droplets, those little beads on the surface. And that's what could happen if you don't properly condition your stamp. There are other methods to stamp conditioning, and you can definitely Google them, look that up. But for me, I prefer to use this stamp conditioning eraser. It really helps out. Now I'm just going to take this image, and it really can be oriented any way you want. It just gives the illusion of clouds in the background. So not to worry about getting it in a specific way. It really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to eyeball the center. Now what I'm going to do is take my flip plate. Ooh, having quite a bit of glare. Let me move that light. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. I did test this before, but I think the light coming through my window changed. Just trying to get this a little bit better. Once the color's down, you'll be able to see it. My camera's kind of washing out the white a little bit. My apologies for that. But I'm going to be using my flip plate to pick that up. And then we can pick out what colors we want to use. And I'm going to use our fresh dye ink. This is a really fantastic dye-based ink. And I'm going to go into Sea Breeze first. I might use multiple colors here just to make it look a little more realistic of a sky, because if you think of a sky, it's not one solid color. And now I'm just going to stamp this down. And because I'm using the stamp wheel, I know that I can stamp this in exactly the same position, just like any other stamp positioner. And I'm going to go into the turquoise ink. And I'm also going to add or grab an ink blending brush. This is one of our mini ink blending brushes, my personal favorite size. And I'm going to ink up the top and make it, actually, no, I'm changing my mind. I meant to do the bottom. Okay, let's just wipe that down. Make sure it's dry. I'm going to ink up the bottom because I think it would look pretty if the bottom was darker. So I'm just adding this on half of the image. And I'm going to take my blending brush and just kind of dab around to blend that. Okay, now I'm going to stick it back into position. And you'll see, because we have the flip plate, I was able to stamp that exactly into position. Angie says the mini blending brush is her favorite. Yeah. I don't know why I'm excited. It really doesn't matter which one's your favorite. That's why we have multiple sizes. But I like when someone else is on team mini with me. Now this is the Tide Blue ink, and I'm just going at the very bottom. And this is a great technique to add some variety and realism to your solid image stamps. You can do this with an outline stamp, but honestly, I feel like the effect wouldn't be noticeable enough to make it worth it. But here we go, and I'm going to do one more color. I'm going to use the Starlight just to make it really dark at the very bottom. Kim is popping in late. Welcome. So glad you could make it. You'll see this is super dark. Our inks come in sets of 4. Of course, you can purchase them individually, but we really take pride in being one of the first, if not the first companies to sell inks in color families. And the reason why we did that is because we had a lot of layering stamps. And when you're using a layering stamp, you might end up struggling to figure out what colors you want to use with your image. So we kind of take the guesswork out by releasing the inks in sets of 4, so you know that they're going to coordinate with one another. And I'm just taking a damp cloth to just wipe that up. Now, by the way, I'm just going to give a little welcome to people who are popping in. You might be noticing we are streaming on 2 different channels today, the Altenew and the SCT channels. And that's because we are part of the Scrapbooking Cards Today Partner Celebration. Yay! Cheers, claps all around. So that's what we're doing today. And I am looking at my time, and I see, as usual, I did a lot of talking and not a lot of crafting in the last 20 minutes. So we're going to hopefully get this project moving, but I am loving how this is looking so far. I'm just going to pop my stamp back onto the acetate so I don't lose things. Another thing that people who watch me on live might know is that I tend to misplace things in my mess. I am a storm when it comes to crafting. I am not organized. The disaster is going far beyond the views of your screen right now. It is all around me, and it is very typical for me to lose track of things, especially if I don't put them away. So we'll be using this later for sentiment, but let's just pack it up so we don't lose where everything is. I'll be putting my ink away too. And speaking of my lives, I go live every week on the Altenew channels on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So if you ever want to check out what we're doing over there, I will, if I have time, tell you a little bit more about that challenge, because it's a challenge live. It's a really fun thing that we do every week, and I would love to see you over there. All right, let's leave this on the stamp wheel, and I'll set this aside. Again, we're not losing anything today. Cross our fingers. Knock on wood. All right, now let's get into some die cutting. So this is our cute little die. Now, many Altenew products have the layering guides on the packaging. We are trying to see if we can do that for our mini die sets as well without raising the cost, because as you might have guessed, any improvement to the manufacturing usually comes at a cost. So our bifold inserts, and I'll show you that right over here because this is one of our bifold inserts, which is typical for most of our products. Like this, we have the layering guide on the back here, and on our stamps, we have the internal layering guide. I should have grabbed a stamp set to show you. All right. I did not grab a stamp set because I'm not using a larger form stamp set, but you can check out on our videos or just in any of our products. We do have a trifold for our stamp sets, and we have bifolds, which means two sides opening like a book, for our stencil sets, and that's where the layering guide is. However, for this one, there's no guide. So you can use the image here, or you can go on the Altenew website, or you could just look up the Enjoy the Flight die set layering guide, and you'll be able to see the layering guide for this product. So that's just something that you might need, especially if the layering guide is not on the product itself. And for the die cutting, I'm going to be using our adorable Mini Blossom. This is a great die cut machine just to have on your desk, just to have if you're crafting on the go. It is the die cut machine I use most of the time. And again, it can't be all the time because it has the smaller plates, which means that I can't do a cover die. So anything that's larger than the plate size, we have 3 by 6 inches on our plates. So for anything larger than this plate size, I do have larger machines that are my go-to. But for most of my crafting, I do use this Mini Blossom. And then I also have some repositionable tape. So this is our satin masking tape, and I'll use that to pop down some of our dies as we die cut. Okay, so let's grab some of those pieces of cardstock that I cut earlier. And I did use Evening Gray and Moon Rock. So the lighter one is Moon Rock, the darker one is Evening Gray. And let's do some planning, right? Let's see what we want to cut from each color. And I, of course, have the lovely brushed silver. So I'm thinking the parts that I want to be silver are these little tiny stripes in the front and this central fin, tail. I don't know. Somebody who knows more about airplanes, tell me what these things are called. So I'm going to take those pieces out, and we'll do that with our silver paper. Okay, so just taking this, placing it onto the plate, and adding a bit of our masking tape. Now I could crank this through. If you're wondering what that piece of metal I had was, this is just a shim, a metal shim that helps when you have more detailed or smaller dies, just to ensure that you have enough pressure in that sandwich. If you're new to die cutting, the sandwich is what we call the combination of plates that you're using as you're die cutting or embossing or whatever it is that you're doing. And this just adds extra pressure to make sure you get a fantastic result. If you have open dies, so dies that aren't solid filled like this, that are open in the center, you don't need the shim. And in some cases, people use a paper shim or cardstock shim if they only need a little bit of additional pressure. So that's something that you can do too. All right, now I'm just going to take our perfect picker. I'm just going to poke out these little holes. That's going to help me get the little pieces out. And we definitely don't want to lose these, you guys. They're so tiny and cute. All right, so here are our metal pieces. So I'll set those aside along with the dies just so I know that I cut those already. Now we've got more choices to make. So we have the blue, the light blue areas, and I think I'll use let's use the darker gray for that. So for the darker gray, I'm going to grab these from the wings, and then this pair of fins, tails, whatever it is that we're calling. And then everything else I'm going to do from the lighter gray cardstock. I'm not sure if you can hear my son in the background. I think my husband's going to take him out on an errand. He's almost 16 months now. Fun fact, he was born in April, Altenew's anniversary month. Okay, so let me just move that. I think I shifted a little bit. Okay. Oh, we're learning. Leanne says the horizontal piece is the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical piece is the rudder. Oh my gosh, like in a boat, I guess, similar to a boat. I never would have guessed. Thank you, Leanne. Tracy's asking, how is your little one? He is doing great. He's just so funny. The older he gets, more of his personality starts to come through, and he's an absolute goofball like myself and my husband, which I'm so happy about. I would feel terrible if he was some kind of super serious dude and he had to deal with all of our antics all the time. You know, I'd be like, Mom and Dad, you guys are embarrassing me. What's going on? Okay, pop those out and put them up here. And again, putting those dies aside so I know I've already used them. Yeah, he is growing so fast. Isn't that how it always goes, though? I know a lot of you must have children, and I'm sure you feel the same way about yours, especially if you have grown children already, like adult children. I bet it seems like they just recently were little ones in your arms. Okay, so these are the last pieces here, and I'm going to be using the lighter gray. And once again, just positioning them on with a little bit of tape. This tape is the greatest. I keep using the same piece, you know, and then if I need it smaller, just rip it smaller. You can get quite a few uses out of it before you need to get a new piece of tape. Carrie has 2 grandchildren and they are a delight. Okay, let's put our last stuff through the die cut machine. And these I'm not going to do any ink blending on. I think just because of the colors that I chose, it's going to give some good, like, I don't know, kind of a fresh modern look. Maybe not realistic, but I think it'll be really nice. But if there's ever a time that your die cuts look a little flat, and I don't mean flat, like obviously they're flat, the paper, but if they're looking like they need some life, add a little bit of ink blending. It just makes a huge difference. It really, really does. This is so stinking cute. Okay, so let's grab that picker one more time just to pop these out. And then we can do some assembling, and then I want to do some flowers. I feel like it'll make it seem like you're flying off to some tropical destination. Uh-oh, where did my engines go? Oh, here they are. Whew. Didn't want to lose the engines. I think these are engines. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is it engines or is it the propellers? I don't know. You guys, I know a lot about a lot of things. I don't know anything about airplanes. Okay, so now let's start assembling this. We've got all of our pieces, and it's just like putting together a little puzzle. So I have my wings, and I have my, oops, this one goes up top. I have my metal pieces, that's silver. I think that's going to look spectacular. Christina says ink blending does add a lot to the die cuts. Yeah, it really does. And another thing that helps, and I'm going to show you this later with the flowers, is starting with a colored piece of cardstock. I don't know why, and I am guilty of this as well, but so many people forget that you can use colored cardstock to give yourself a head start. So if you want red flowers, don't feel like you have to spend all day inking your white cardstock. Get some red cardstock, pink cardstock, get something that starts it for you. And then when you add your ink blending, it'll just add a little bit more life and dimension. And you don't have to do all the work of adding all of the color, like completely from scratch. So I'm just using some liquid glue to add to this. Sometimes on the lives, people ask me about my glue. This is what I say about testing products. We are in the testing phase for some liquid glue. So it is not yet released and available to be purchased yet. So I would definitely say keep an eye out. But now that I'm just in the testing phase, we want to make sure that everything is fantastic before releasing it. All right, this looks really great. Okay. I'm actually not going to add these little engine-y bits or whatever they are because I ended up doing them the same color as the base, so I don't need to add those on. I'm just going to set them aside. All right, now let's put some glue on here. Angelique has no children, so no grandchildren, but she enjoys her neighbors' children and seeing kids on Facebook. That's great, especially if you like kids. Some people don't have kids and don't want kids and don't like kids, and that's also fine. We have some friends that are part of the Our Dogs Are Our Kids camp, and their dogs are so sweet. They have cute, cute, cute dogs, and we love going over there and seeing the puppies. I love how the silver looks. You guys, that's like adding just the right touch. That metallic touch looks so cool. So I'm just adding a little strip of glue just to both sides here, making sure I have enough adhesive. And pop that down. I'm loving how this is coming out. All right, now we also have the body here. Now you can pop this up with foam tape if you want. You know, that would really give some dimension to the window area in the cockpit. But I'm just going to use the same, just liquid glue. And then we're going to add the parts that we just learned about, the rudder and the horizontal somethings. I forgot already. The horizontal, we'll just call it the pieces, the horizontal pieces and the rudder. Angie says, that's her camp. Dogs are the kids. Yeah. Pets are great. We don't have any pets, but we do live in an apartment. And if we wanted pets, we'd have to pay pet rent. So when we move to a house, we'll reassess the pet situation, whether or not we want pets. But right now, I think a baby is enough. I can't imagine also taking care of a pet. Now I'm going to take these horizontal pieces as Lydia would say, the fiddly bits. Maybe even Bridget too. I don't know. Bridget might say that too. The little fiddly bits. Oop, I put my fiddly bit in the wrong side. Oh, no, I did not. Sorry, you guys. I'm just, you know, talking out loud as I do, thinking out loud. There we go. All right, so I'm getting my fiddly bits on, and then we're going to get that nice silver piece. We can see how that looks on our card base or on our card panel. And then we can think about adding some floral elements, because I think that's just really going to make it extra fun. And our rudder. Here's the rudder. You learn something new every day. Okay. Pop on that last fiddly bit. Cute. So cute. I love it. So look, when you were saying, of course you didn't say it, I put words in your mouth. When I imagined that you guys said, that's so small, what can you do with it? Well, now you can see what you can do with it. And it takes up a nice amount of space, especially if you're making a card, but this would also be great for a travel album or a travel journal. Like, look at how much space it takes up. It's not like it's a tiny result. You know, you assemble it and you get a really spectacular element to add on your project. I'm trying to think of where to put that. I definitely want flowers somewhere. So I'm glad we have some time. I'm just going to take this. I'm going to pop it in. You know, we don't want to lose things, so we put them away. That's fine. We'll leave that there in the stamp wheel for safekeeping. I'm leaving my die cut plates out because we will be doing some die cutting. But I am just going to put these back in here. I'm not going to put them all on because you guys don't want to watch me put all my dies away. But I've got to get them in the bag or else they're going to get lost. Plus, if I spent the time to put them away, we really might not end up finishing this card today. So let's shove them in here. And anybody that is just coming in to join us, I want to remind you, I may have forgotten to say it before, but we've got a blog post with a giveaway on the SCT blog. Please go over there and you'll be entered to win one of 2 different gift certificates to the Altenew store, which is great for you to purchase anything that might be on your crafty wish list. All right, so this stuff is all going to the side. And now let's bring out those flowers along with our other cardstock. So this is what I was saying before about starting with a piece of colored cardstock, just to get a head start for whatever it is that you are going to be ink blending. I really do find that shortcut helps a lot. And we have our layering guide in the back. And when you open it up, we have all the pieces here on the inside. Now, what I'd like to do is just look at which flowers I want. I don't need to use all of these flowers. I'm thinking maybe 2 should be enough. So I like this one that's kind of looking sideways. And then I think one of these smaller ones that's facing front towards the viewer. So let's look and see which ones I need for that. Here's the one that's sideways. So if I look here, and I know this looks minuscule on your screen right now, but you can see it just fine on the packaging. And if for some reason you can't, go online and get the digital layering guide, because you could blow that up and print that out to whatever size you need. But I'm seeing a triangle keyhole. So now let's look at our dies. And right over here, I have triangle cutouts. And this is the whole keyhole system that we use for many, many of our dies. Again, not the tiny, 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 tiny ones, just because it's not needed, nor is there space for it. But most of our flower dies and newer dies that we've released in the last few years have had these cutouts, which we call like the keyhole system. So if you can see those little triangles, those cutouts are going to help align the dies. And there's also debossed numbers in each of these pieces, so that when I assemble them, I know which one goes down first, second, third, and so on. So I've got this. And if I look at which other one I want, I think I like this one here. I'm going to grab the large keyhole shape. So I'm looking at my dies, which one has the large keyhole shape, and that is right here. We also have a collection of center pieces. The reason why they're on a different die is because you would most likely be cutting them in another color. I actually do need to grab another color. I forgot to. So good thing I've got my cardstock nearby. I could just grab a color. Or if I wanted to tie things together, maybe I'll do this. I'll grab that metallic brushed silver and I'll use the centers for that because we've got a lot of space on that piece anyway. And I'll just do all the centers, even these two. Okay, so the leaves we'll get to afterwards. Right now, I just want to make sure I get my flowers cut. And we'll be bringing back our mini blossom die cut machine. And I'm just going to do both colors or both flowers in the puffy heart color. Now these Crafty Necessities solid cardstock sets, we do have the full sheets like I showed you in the beginning of this live stream, but then we have these that are great if you have the mini blossom because they're sized to fit exactly on that cutting plate. Remember, that is 3 by 6 inches. If you don't have our pre-cut cardstock, you could just cut down your own cardstock to size. But it's just an extra convenience for people who have the die cut machine so that you don't have to worry about trimming down your cardstock panels to work. All right, grabbing some more of that tape. This is just a piece that's been on my desk for who knows how long. Popping that down and grabbing our other set. This is the one with the triangles and putting that down. Rhonda is a dog mom as well. Are there any cat moms or cat dads or cat parents out there? I feel like in the crafting world, I've always felt like cats were the more popular pet. And I don't know why that is. And maybe I've just interpreted that and it's not true. But I feel like there are a lot of cat people who are crafters because I'm always hearing about people's cats lying down on crafting supplies or walking across the table as they're filming. I think that's happened to Bridget before. She's also on our team. She does live videos and does a lot for us for our education and things like that. So I think she's had her cat walk across during filming. You know, it happens. But I'm seeing more dog comments than cat comments, which is interesting. All right, here are our pieces. So we have the side facing flower, which was the one that had the triangle cutouts. Linda has 2 cats and a dog. Okay. I'm seeing someone's going to catch this later. Yeah, we are going to be around for the replay. So if you miss it, you can go to the SCT YouTube channel and you can watch on the replay or on Altenew. And now that I have my pieces here, I'm just going to stick with this one first. I'm going to assemble these. And then after that, I'm going to pop these out. I don't want to get my pieces lost. Do you sense the theme again of not wanting to misplace things? How many times do you think that's happened that now I've learned my lesson and I have to think about while I'm live where I'm putting things? All right, I don't know if you can see, but this one has a little etched 2. This one has a little etched 1. This one has a little etched 3. And I'm going to bring back my stamp wheel to use the sticky mat while I'm ink blending. Oh, now we have to move this stuff and not lose it. Okay. I'm putting it by my computer. I say it out loud every time because if later I say, where's my card stuff? You guys will say, it's near your computer, Jen. And I'll say, oh yeah, that's right. I put it near the computer. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of ink blending. And you guys, I'm looking at my time, and I am quite worried about running out of time. So I'm going to do all of the die cuts at once. It'll just be a lot easier, a lot faster if we just knock this all out at once, because I will be very sad if I don't finish my project today. Now, for my lives that I do on Tuesdays, finishing the project is not the goal. The goal is doing new techniques and trying new things that maybe you've never done before, or trying things out of your comfort zone and acknowledging that not finishing a project is a-okay. You don't need to worry about finishing your project. And if you want to join in the challenge and you play along, you can submit an unfinished work in progress and you can still be chosen to win, because I want to make sure that everybody knows it's okay if some weeks you don't have the time to craft that you would want. It's okay if you think you have time to craft and then some emergency happens and you can't. You have to say, you know what? I've got to stop this and put it away. You could still enter it. Just take a picture of it and join in. I'm going to use some rubellite. I know this is a warmer tone. This is a cooler tone. And I think that's going to just make a nice blend on my cardstock here to just give some more depth and dimension. And you can see here that the sticky mat that's in the stamp wheel, and FYI, you can also buy that on its own. You don't need to have the stamp wheel in order to use one of our photopolymer sticky mats, but that just holds on to my die cuts as I blend. And look, guys, I have the head start of using colored cardstock. I know that just seems like a no-brainer, but sometimes we don't have our brains. And it takes somebody else to tell you, like in this live stream, hey, you can start with a colored piece of cardstock and it's a lot easier to get your ink blending done a lot quicker that way. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, that's true. Okay, so let's blend, blend, blend. And just that little bit has added a real lifelike look to these petals. Now we can start assembling them, and I'm not forgetting about the centers, but those are going to be done in silver. So I'll cut them after I do these. All right, let's keep my triangles together and keep my keyholes together. And on my photopolymer mat here, I can just wipe it down. I can use a mild glue. I don't have to worry about staining. This is a strong pink. It might never come out, and that's okay. It does not affect the quality or the functionality and performance of that sticky mat. So you don't need to worry about that. All right, let's bring back the glue and look at our layers. This is one, here's two. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of glue to put around that triangle. And I could stick that down. And another thing I like to do with these flowers is pull up on the petals when it's all dry. So that's why I don't usually put glue over the whole thing, because I want to be able to pull up those petals. And you guys, talk about no-brainer. Look at this. It's so easy to layer because of the keyhole and those etched numbers. I don't need to look at the layering guide. I can if I need it, but I don't have to, because the numbers and the keyholes just help with all of that. So if you've struggled to put together especially complicated dies, definitely try out our system, because you might find yourself having more success with dies that have these alignment helpers. And what's great is that in the end, the cutouts are all covered by additional pieces. We engineer and design them so that there's something covering up those keyholes. So in the end, when you look at it, no one would know that you ever had alignment guides to help out. Okay, so I wouldn't put these on my card like this because I can see the keyholes still. However, now that we're going to cut out our centers, that's just going to make it so much easier to cover them without even thinking about it. And that's going to hide the fact that we had help. All right, you guys, the same pieces of satin masking tape coming out here. So I'm wondering how many of you have been tuning in to the SCT Partner Celebration and checking out the other blog posts. Oh, sorry, I'm getting so excited talking with my hands. I just knocked my camera. I'm Italian, you guys. I talk with my hands. I do this a lot. Can't help it. But yeah, how many of you have been checking out the other Partner Celebration content? It's been really nice and inspiring to see and hear from all the different companies. And I'm so happy that Altenew was able to share today. Okay, cranking this through. There's a lot of little details, which is why I put on that metal shim once again. Hi, Xiomara. Good to see you here. Kathy says she can't wait every day to check it out. She's learning so much. Yeah, it's really great. It's so much fun. Now, I have extra pieces that I don't need here because these are the centers for all of the flowers, and there are 4 different flowers here in this set. Is it 4 or 5? It's 4. And I only use 2 of them. So I don't need all of these, but we're going to pop them all out so we can see which ones we need for our flowers. And these are not going to look real because I don't think there's any flowers with metallic silver centers, but I think it's going to look cool because it will tie in with our airplane. Pop out these. I love just using the Perfect Picker to pop out. I used to use like a thick embroidery needle before we had this. I know that there were other companies who had similar tools, but I usually like say, oh, well, use what you have, right? So if I had embroidery needles, I could use it. But you guys, it is so much better to actually have a tool made for the picking because it's not sharp and it's just easy to keep, put with your pencils or whatever. I can't tell you how many times I lost a thick embroidery needle. So this is way better. Okay, we need our triangle and we need our keyhole. So let's look at our layering guide. So we have this triangle piece like this. It's the smaller triangle, just like that, because there is another set with a larger triangle. So I want to make sure I have the smaller triangle, and this is the smaller triangle. So you look and see how you build these up on the layering guide. Now, I'm actually going to just take a shortcut because of time, and I'm just going to grab the centers and put it on without the other pieces. There are more pieces. You can absolutely put the additional pieces on. It makes it look like a real hellebore, but I'm just going to go a little bit quicker for now and put this on without the additional pieces. As long as I'm covering up that triangle, I know I'm good. So you can see I've just got that covered and no one would know. And let's pull up those petals. So you could use a petal shaper, you can use a pencil, or what I'm doing, I'm just using my fingers. And if you ever wanted to add a little bit more interest, you could do more ink blending. Even now, you can take a smaller ink blending brush, like one of these detail brushes. You could add more ink blending. Obviously, the more ink blending you do, the more realistic it will look. But I didn't want to add too much to that because remember, our airplane doesn't have any ink blending on it. So I don't want to be over ink blending when it's not necessary. Oops. Yeah, I'll take this one and add my glue and pop that on. Now, all of these I can get rid of. I won't be using them today. And quite honestly, if I try to save them, I'd lose them anyway. So I'm just going to throw these out. And then we just need to add some flowers, or I mean leaves to go with our flowers. So let's look over here. We've got this leaf bunch right here. And what you can do is keep it together like this, or you can also cut apart the leaves. Never feel scared to cut apart your dies or customize your dies the way you want them to be. I've been known to cut stamps apart. Like if there's a greeting that is almost what I want, but not quite, I have gone and cut into them. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done that, because it's scary the first time you do it, but then it's liberating and you're like, oh my gosh, I can customize my stamp stuff however I want. And you could always put them back together when you mount them on an acrylic block or something, right? It's not permanent as long as you, again, don't lose your pieces there. You can do that to any of your stamps. So don't feel worried about, forgetting or intentionally not putting a layer on your dies or cutting things apart. It's really up to you, however you want to use them. And as somebody who designs a lot of the products at Altenew, I have to say I love it when I see customers using products in a different way than I imagined. How boring would it be if everybody did what I would do, right? I want to see how people use the products, and I want to see how maybe you customize them on your own. Tracy says it's super scary to cut a stamp. Angie is terrified. I'm telling you guys, you do it once and it won't be as scary anymore. Okay, now we're about ready to assemble. I will also need to think of a greeting to put on the card. But let's see what we're working with right now. Like I said, I want it to look like we're flying to some kind of tropical destination. So I'm thinking if I put the flowers here, it'll look like we're flying towards them. Now the leaves, that's beautiful, but I want the freedom to tuck those leaves in wherever. So I'm going to cut them apart. Hopefully you guys don't mind. I'm going over an hour a little bit just because I would love to finish this. And I do want to show you some of the projects that we've been doing over on the lives, the Tuesday lives, just because I've gone out of my comfort zone quite a bit for those lives, and I know that the participants have as well. And there are prizes, you guys. There's a lot of fun things that you can do to win, including playing along, but also sharing. And I hope you guys are sharing this. Share this while we're live. We're going to be signing off soon. But that way, if your friends and followers don't catch any of or didn't catch this, they can definitely see the replay. So please share so that we can spread the love. Now, I'm not going to do any ink blending on my leaves, but of course I absolutely could if I wanted to. I'm just going to tuck these in. I'm not putting anything down yet with adhesive just because I want to figure out where my sentiment is going to go, and it's easier to do that before I put anything down permanently. Now, you guys, you're not going to believe what I'm going to say. I don't know where my stamp set went. Oh, here it is. That's so typical, Jen, you guys. So typical. I am sorry. This is who I am. This is what you get. All right, let's think about which greeting would be great. I think I love flying by to say hi. And I want it over on the side maybe, or kind of in the corner. Maybe right over here. So let's move these. And for my sentiments, I like to stamp with an acrylic block. Does that make me a crazy lunatic? Maybe. I know I've got a stamp wheel. I know I've got 2 stamp wheels, the regular and the 2.0. I know there are tools to help get a straight sentiment. However, I just like the feeling of having the block in my hand. I feel like I have more control. I know it's scary. You got to hold your breath. I'm using, by the way, Obsidian pigment ink for this. Okay. I'm going to get real quiet while I hold my breath. Make sure I am aligned on my alignment mat. You can see the A2 just fits perfectly. That's it. We did it. Is it a little crooked? Maybe. Do I care? No. I like stamping with a block. It's old school, right? Anytime I have a sentiment or something small. So if I'm doing, let's say, a layered flower stamp and I have tiny little stamen or little centerpieces to my flower, I will also pull out the block for that. It just feels better for me to have it in my hands instead of on a stamp positioner. All right, now we just get to stick this together. So I do still have my liquid glue. I could use some foam tape, but I kind of like how this looks with the petals being the only thing that's kind of popping up and everything else is straight down on the card. Now I'm going to leave this as a card panel because when I store my my cards, I keep them flat because it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to store them when they're not on a card base. And also if I'm ever taking pictures of cards, so if I'm doing a workshop or something where I need to photograph my cards, I hate when a folded card is just like popping up at you and you're like, oh, I gotta put some adhesive in that or do something to stick it down. It's annoying. So having a flat card panel is so much better. And then when I'm ready to give away the card, I will just add it to a card base. So for this, I think I'm just going to use some of that liquid adhesive. You can see my hidden keyhole behind there. Again, I'm just putting it on the center because I want this all to be popped up. Oop, don't cover my greeting. There we go. And then I'll tuck in the leaves afterwards. And this card is pretty much done. Push that down. I really love how this turned out. I think this would be a great anytime occasion, but of course, if someone's traveling or loves to travel, this would be spectacular for them. But don't feel like you have to be limited. It's just, this is cute no matter what you're doing or who you're giving it to. So I like having these on hand, cards that aren't really for a specific occasion, that if something comes up, flying by to say hi, that could be a friend who's having a tough time, right? Maybe they're going through something and they just need a pick-me-up. They need a smile. You could put a little Starbucks gift card in there or something, and flying by to say hi, especially a long-distance friend. Okay, where are we going to put this last? Right there. Okay. Tuck that in. And here we go. This is my completed card. So again, the products that we were using today, and if this is all happening too fast right now, just check out on the replay or look in the comments for more information about the products. But this is one of our newer Mini Delights. It's Mini Delight Enjoy the Flight. And all of our Mini Delights come with a coordinating stamp and die set. So you can use them together. You can use them separately. It's really a fun, versatile product in a small package. And I also used an older one of our Craft to Flower sets. This is also a monthly subscription. I didn't do that on purpose. I just liked how the scale of this flower fits in with the card that I was envisioning. But these are utilizing our keyhole. So you can even see in the corner, the keyhole system. So this makes layering a breeze. I was stamping with our original stamp wheel, but please, if you do larger projects or scrapbooking especially, or you like to use large scale stamps, take a look at that Stamp Wheel 2.0 because it has all of the great features of our stamp wheel plus a removable side so that you can add in larger pieces of cardstock. So you could work on like a letter size sheet of cardstock. We used some fun Crafty Necessities cardstock. We also used this brushed silver metallic cardstock. We used my favorite ink blending tool, the Mini. Yes, gotta love the Mini, but we do have other sizes and a few other products to make this fantastic card. Now let me just pop you guys up so I can see you again before I sign off here. You know what? It's not as hot anymore. I don't know what happened. Maybe the air conditioner started to come stronger, or maybe my husband overheard me and he's like, let's crank down that temp a little bit. So I just want to say thank you so much to Megan and also to Catherine for making this all happen and helping behind the scenes to get us all set up for this partner celebration. I am seeing that a lot of you have been commenting and I definitely missed a whole bunch of them. So I can't wait to go back at the replay and check out some of your comments that I may have missed. Don't forget, I am Jen from Altenew. I'm one of the co-founders. We created this fun card. We've been around, like I said, for 11 years. And really all of that is thanks to you guys, right? It's the industry that keeps moving. It's the people like from SCT. It's from the companies that also create paper crafting products. It's the customers, it's the community. All of us work together to really make something special out of this creative industry. And I'm really humbled that we have been a part of it for so long, and that I hope we can continue to become or be a great part of this industry. And I think that'll just about do it for me. So I appreciate the extra time too. Hopefully you guys don't have anywhere important that you need to be. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, not just live, but also if you are on that on the replay. So pop in a comment, let me know where you're from. Let me know if Altenew is new to you, if you saw something here that you like, and anything else that you'd like to share with us. So I just had a delightful time with you guys, and I hope you did too. Have a wonderful and crafty day. Bye-bye.